Hello and welcome to 7 Minutes of Inspiration with Seven. You're watching me, Latasha Guy. It is a pleasure to be able to join you guys on this week. It's been a few weeks since I posted. Lots of things going on, and so I didn't feel bad about it. There were some kinks that I needed to work out on my end, and so it is a pleasure to be back with you guys on today to share some motivation and encouragement for your souls. I'm just basking, guys. I'm basking in this time of release, this time of relaxation, getting some things done, planning for my future. Just really trying to be as productive as possible. Today is going to be a very interesting topic. Usually it's a vision that I've been given. I don't speak on it until I understand it myself. And so today's topic, I'll try to keep it short and sweet, is takers. And so when I began to think about Takers, Takers is a movie that I have seen a time or two, and it had no reference to that. So I'm like, okay, what are you trying to show me, God? What are you trying to show me? And so when I just began to look at Takers, I'm going to jump right in the topic and I'll wrap up at the end. But when I began to think about Takers, it really came to clarity for me on today. And when I began to think about Takers, I just began to think about, what does it mean for me? And I just began to ask myself, are you a taker or are you a giver? And I said, I'm a giver. I'm always giving back. I'm always encouraging. I'm always seeking to be that best person that I can be, always seeking to push that person, whether it's mentally, physically, to that next level of just, taking a hold of opportunities that lie in front of them. And so when I began to think about takers, it was a whole nother level that God began to give me. And so when I began to think about takers, I began to think about takers and givers. And I was posed with the question of how many people in our lives can we begin to analyze, or the takers and the givers. And he first gave it to me from a people standpoint. And from a people standpoint, he just began to show me, you have a lot of people in your life that are robbing you. They're robbing you of your time. They're robbing you of your peace. They're robbing you of valuable things that you could be doing. But you're spending so much time depositing that it's taking from you. It's literally robbing every peaceful moment that sometimes you're provided to be able to focus on you. And so God told me, you got to get rid of the takers, because life requires the equal balance. There are takers and there are givers. But if you allow a taker to stay in your life for too long, that taker literally can lead you into insufficiency. Now, I know most people have a bank account. And when I begin to think about the bank, I begin to think about how many times we just keep taking things out. We keep taking money out. We're switching money around, but we're taking. And if we continue to take more than we're putting back, we're going to end up in an insufficient status. However, throughout life, I've known people that they can be in insufficiency status and they still will continue to go back until someone stops them and says, no more, no more. There's nothing left that you can give. And so God showed me from a standpoint, he said, that's why a lot of relationships go silent. People are in a space or place where they're tired of being taken advantage of, taken for granted, not taken seriously. And he said, it's enough is enough. I know there are literally relationships that I literally had to silently exit, because the taking and drawing, it was more of a draw than there was of a deposit. And it wasn't fair. For the longest, I thought I was being supportive. For the longest, I thought that I was, sewing back into the atmosphere of being there for other people. But God said, you got your own problems going on. And who's depositing back into you? Because anybody knows anything that you're taking more from than you're depositing, you're going to eventually end up bankrupt. You're going to take everything out where there's nothing left to give. And that leads to what? Bitterness. Bitterness, because now you're bitter. You think everybody's out to get you, think everybody's out to take something from you. And I didn't want to be in that headspace, honestly. And I'm speaking from a place from my heart today. If you have a lot of takers that are around you, find some balance. I know sometimes it can be loved ones. I know sometimes it can be in your own household. I know sometimes it can be with your friends. Sometimes you can deal with it in the workplace where you're having more taken from you than you're actually what's being poured back. And so God just showed me, you need a balance. You need people that are going to give and people that you can actually give to. You won't survive long just depositing. Most people will say, who's refilling you? And a lot of times, the same people that are doing a lot of the giving, they're having to refill themselves. They're having to go to the YouTubes and listen to motivational messages to encourage themselves. They're having to cry out to God alone in their spare time to say, God, I need you. I need you because I don't have anyone to talk to. Those same people that call you all the time, those same people that draw from you all the time, a lot of times those are the same people you can't call, get on the line, get an answer, get a response, or if you do start that conversation, it quickly converts to about them. Again, it's went back over to a giver status. So I think it's time for us to raise our level of thinking that we are not responsible for people. We are responsible to deposit and also be poured into. It is nature. It's the law of nature to give and take, but there can't be a whole lot of taking, and there is no giving. There is no reciprocity in those relationships. You're not getting anything out of them. A lot of them you're holding on to because of loyalty. A lot of them you're holding on to because that's all you know. But I'm telling you, there is something that is far more greater that is out there for you. Again, I told you guys that I took a break for a couple of weeks. There was just some things that I needed to do for me. Honestly, there was just a lot of times when the Thursday was coming up for me to do my video, or Wednesdays, Tuesdays, whatever day I would decide to do them, I didn't feel like it. I had so many people that had drained me through the week physically, just in physical relation, that by the time it was time for me to pour into the people that God had seeded or touched my heart to talk to, I didn't have the energy for them. And so I had to go back and get my thoughts together. And so I'm always honest, and I try to be transparent in these different vlogs that I do, because I tell you guys all the time, I'm not speaking on anything that I haven't went through, gone through, or I'm going through in that moment. So I'm being extremely as transparent as I can be. And so I'm telling you guys, because I've been in that situation, you literally will find yourself taken. You'll find yourself just taken advantage of, because you're allowing people to manipulate your time, manipulate your thoughts, manipulate your schedule, manipulate you for the benefit of them. And I took some notes here because I didn't want to forget anything. When you're giving more than you receive, you will become drained. That's just the bottom line. People are going to disappear. If you're draining someone that much, sometimes those relationships can go silent and you don't even know why. Maybe they didn't have the courage to tell you so. Maybe they didn't have the discipline because they were going to keep talking to you because they wanted to, make things better in your life, or they wanted to push you to that next level, or they wanted to encourage you to do better. But the bottom line is that they did not see themselves being able to do it. They didn't have the strength to tell you so, and so they left. They left with no warning. And so I think, guys, really, it's time to invest in you. This week, I spent 3 days, and I thank God because I seen it on Facebook. I spent 3 days in a leadership class, and that leadership class, it just poured into me. Even as a leader, sometimes you need people to come back and deposit into you, because in order for you to continue to give, you got to make sure that you're being filled. And that was probably a 3-day awakening, that I needed to get back into a place of focusing on me. And so I actually signed up for the school. I've joined. I'm excited. I literally just got off of a class. The nuggets that we were able to absorb in that meeting, that's enough to keep me running. It's enough to keep me running, that there's a purpose and plan over my life that I just refuse to give up on. I can't. I don't care who or what I have to forsake to get where I need to be. I'm going to do what I got to do. And I'm telling you guys, we are in a season. God has given us time that we can do anything that we truly want to do. We have the time. We just need the discipline. We need to get rid of the distractions. We need to make sure that we're constantly pouring back into ourselves the things that we need to remain productive, to remain positive, to continue to pour out into the universe with an expectancy that the universe again will pour back into you. So I invested in myself. It wasn't free, but I invested in myself. I thank God because it allowed me to connect back with some people. And I'm going to call her out in this video. I don't care. Hopefully she'll get a chance to see it. But I was able to connect back with one of my great friends. And we spent years just hanging out. We've hung out on the godly side. We've hung out on the secular side. But she's a great friend. and her name is Kiana. She's a great friend. She's always been one of those type of people that I can connect with. It feels like there's no missing links, that we haven't missed the moment. We pick right up where we left off of. And I'm telling you, it's rare to find those type of relationships where you don't have to physically talk to someone every day. But when you talk to them and you get off that phone, you feel like you're so empowered. You see that person, you guys embrace and just share where you're at in your journeys. It's just a beautiful thing. And so if you're watching, Kiana, I just want to tell you, I thank God for reconnecting us even on this journey, and for allowing us, because a lot of times we get busy. We say we're going to reach out to people and we don't. But I'm telling you, God is very strategic how he can bring people back into your life in that current moment. And I don't want to go too much deeper because I know I've kept you guys for 10 minutes. And I was looking at my notes, but I don't want to go too much deeper because it truly was from my heart this week. Guys, begin to look at yourself as being equal. Begin to look at yourself as being balanced. Make sure that as much as you're giving, you're receiving as well. Make sure that as much as you're pouring, that is being poured back into you. Remember, it won't always be poured from the same people. Strategically, you don't know who you're going to be in your path that is going to be that propelling force to take you to the next portion of your journey. Trust the journey. I always tell people, trust the journey. Enjoy the journey, because guess what? It's going to carry on. So it's your attitude that's going to determine your altitude. So you got to make sure that you're being positive about that experience. This week, God has just shown me, like, there's so many talents wrapped up in my house. I'm going to do some infomercials before the end, and I promise I'm going to keep them quick. I told my daughters that I was going to spotlight them on tonight. And so I'm holding up here my oldest daughter. She has created a lip gloss line. It is called Lipped by Dolly. This is my oldest, Talia. She's always been my creative baby. She's been my creative child. She's been that one that's been a part of everything. And I don't know, I say just great. Anything she puts her mind to, she's very great at it. But I see a lot of me in her. So as much as she despises it sometimes, I told her one day you're going to look back and you're going to be just like your mom. With my baby girl, Shay Sparks, you guys know I post her quite a bit because I do manage her musical career. She will, and I told her I'd write it down, she will be releasing her EP on tomorrow. Shay Sparks, it's called Girls Can Too. For most of know, she started a business at the beginning of this year. It is a movement that is centered around spotlighting the empowerment of females in the community and different things that they're doing. And so if you haven't had a chance, make sure you go out there and follow her. She is a positive musical influence in the community that is doing great things, and I'm expecting greater things for her future because that is what she's been ordained for. And I forgot to mention the lip gloss that I'm wearing by Dolly is pineapple. Smells extremely good. Keeps your lips shiny. I don't know. My lights are going low over here. Keeps your lips shiny. Keeps you moisturized all day long. And so in those that may be interested, because I will have people reach out from time to time. They'll ask me, are you guys cooking? Because, you know, I manage my husband's business as well, Guys Cooking Creation. Stay tuned. We do plan to release information about Father's Day meals. We cooked last. We did a pop-up shop. It's located on the east side. No, we're not cooking from the crib. We have a space that we cook out of. And so you can get curbside pickup depending on where we're at in the moving back to a space of being in public. I'll keep you guys updated through both that page and my page. But again, I just wanted to jump on very quickly tonight, and I know I always extend it. I wanted to jump on tonight and tell you guys, sometimes it's okay to go away. It's okay, because we get to the point sometime, and I made sure that I made a note of this. Some of us are so busy creating content that we get confused. And so that's why I stopped myself. That's why I said, you know what? It's time to go back to the base and make sure you're good. It's time to go back to the base, make sure you're balanced. It's time to go back to the base, make sure you're prioritizing for those purposes and plans over your life. Don't let anyone get you off track with what you're supposed to be doing. Learn to give and take. Learn not to always be the taker. Learn sometimes to be the giver. It won't hurt. What you pour out there, I promise it will be poured back into you. And so I hope that everyone has an amazing rest of your week. As I always say, go out and be great. Refuse to live less than your best, because guess what? That's what you've been called, and you are amazing.